Hey guys! You may or may not notice that something is slightly different in this video compared to the one I made a year ago or two, because I haven't made videos in a while. I've been busy with life, and I wanted to make a video explaining why, and also talking about a topic that has been very potent in my life recently, which is the fact that I am now living together with a person that doesn't have Asperger's. I've moved and I live together with a non-Aspie. For an Asperger's person to live together with anyone, you really have to, well, both of you really have to understand each other. And I get lots of mails from people asking me mostly the opposite question, which is a non-Aspie asking how is it to live with a person with Asperger's, because they're afraid of certain things like he doesn't say he loves me. Does that mean he doesn't love me? He doesn't express himself. Sometimes he does stuff I don't understand. And I wanted to focus a couple of videos on clearing some things out, because people with Asperger's have relationships too, right? They need relationships and they are going to be in relationships. And if you have Asperger's and you have problems with yourself, you have questions about Asperger's, you're also going to have problems and questions about relationships. So I want to just explain how my relationship has gone and where it is right now in relation to Asperger's. So here I go. Okay. Start from the beginning. Me and my girlfriend, Katerina, met on YouTube 5 or so years ago. I don't remember exactly how long, because I am bad with dates. And we met on comments on a video I had made. I made origami tutorials on my old channel, and she also made origami tutorials. And because of that, we started talking about it. That was way before I made any Let's Plays, any other Asperger's videos. I was really bad at speaking English. I felt bad about my voice. I was a completely different person because it was years and years ago. As happens. And we started talking on mails. It led to MSN, and it led to Skype calls and actual, video calls, and talking on, well, not the phone, but over Skype phones. She lived in Portugal. I lived in Sweden, but we talked for years through nothing but the internet. For an Aspie, I always felt like if I had to go out and date people, I wouldn't succeed, because I would have to... How do I put this? It's difficult to make a good first impression when you don't want to look someone in the eyes, and you feel bad about touching them. And the thing about dating on the internet is that you don't have to do any of that. You can look into a video camera. You can not be online if you have a day where you don't feel social, and it feels safer. You have your own space, which is important for an Aspie. Your own space is very important for an Aspie, and living together with someone else is a huge step. In fact, talking on Skype was a huge step for me. I had never really talked to anyone on Skype before, and I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't really want to do it. But because I felt comfortable with Katerina, I did it anyway. And that has been kind of the theme of our relationship. I've pushed myself to do stuff that I didn't really feel like I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it because I liked her. It came to the point where I wanted her to move to Sweden. Because we had known each other for a long time. I wanted our relationship to go somewhere, because I felt like it was just, internet stuff. It wasn't real. It wasn't a real relationship because it was on the internet, and I wanted to take it to the next level. The problem with that was that I had never met her, and her parents had never met me, and she had never met me either. I always imagined that she was fine with the whole not meeting me part, but I've found out that apparently she was scared of meeting a stranger just as much as anyone would be. You know, you know, she hadn't actually met me in real life. She hadn't even shaken my hand. Of course, she would be having some, maybe not doubts, but worries. And her parents didn't want to have their daughter move to a country where there was a guy they never met, they never even talked to. And long story short, a very long story short, after years of arguing with her parents, fighting to get her to Sweden, we agreed on me going to Portugal. It took a long time for me to accept that because I didn't want to go to Portugal. I don't like airplanes. I don't like trips. I don't like people. It costed so much money to do. It felt like it was an impractical, illogical solution. But I wanted Katarina, so I did it anyway. And by the time I got back, she was following me back. I went there alone, and I went back to Sweden together with her. The trip was taxing, and I barely managed to do it, to be honest with you. I felt mentally pushed and scarred by the fact that I spent a week away from home. I know it might sound silly, but it was a week away from home. And I've never really gone on vacations before, and I didn't feel comfortable in public. So the fact that I was going there alone for a trip, airplane trip that took like 6 hours, was way more difficult than the trip back where I had my girlfriend next to me. The trip back was almost fun. In fact, she was more worried about the airplane trip than I was because she was apparently afraid of airplanes and I didn't even know that. And apparently she also tried to protect me from the public. She let me sit next to the window, tried to keep me away from crowds. Didn't nag me, I guess. Which is kind of the point of this video where, like I said, I get a lot of mails from people worrying about Asperger's in a relationship concept when I feel like it's not really much different from just being in a relationship with anyone else. Point is that if you have Asperger's, you might be sensitive to certain things, you might need certain special needs in your life, but doesn't everyone, right? Doesn't everyone need certain special things? I'm sure there's lots of people who are afraid of airplanes, who don't like sitting next to the aisle in an airplane, who are afraid of traveling because they don't know what's going to happen and how it goes, and like, what if I lose this thing, what blah blah blah. People worry about air travel all the time. I worried about something else, but it was still a normal travel worry, making me not really that special, even though I had Asperger's and other people on the plane didn't, even though some of them probably did, statistically speaking. If you have Asperger's and you're planning on doing a trip, then what you can do is bring your laptop if you have one, or your iPod if you have one, and just kind of focus on that, because that's what I did. I just brought a bunch of video games on my laptop and iPod, and I just kind of focus on that. The thing about having Asperger's is that you have to feel at home, which I didn't do in Portugal because everyone spoke a different language and I wasn't in my home, obviously. So I just had to grasp onto what I recognized. And, well, Katarina for one thing, because I talked to her for years. And video games and, whenever they cooked, I kind of, because I like cooking and I'm a chef, I kind of just focus on, like, how is that dish doing? I'd like to taste of this, blah, blah, blah. Trying to familiarize yourself. I feel like that's something that everyone are doing when they travel, but for an Aspie, you kind of do get panic attacks if you don't. So, life with an Aspie is a difficult thing for me to talk about, because I am an Aspie and I don't really see myself from an outside perspective. I know certain things now that I didn't know before, like the fact that I had to completely rethink the whole my own space thing, simply because of the fact that it isn't my space anymore. It's our space, right? We share it. When she moved to Sweden, we lived in a 2, 3 room apartment. Well, 2 rooms and a hallway. It was a smaller apartment. We always sat next to each other, and then we, slept next to each other. It was non-private. We just recently moved to this way bigger apartment, which is bigger, and you'd think that I would have more of my own space, but I don't. And the reason why is because I stopped trying to get my own space when I realized that if I wanted my own space and give her her space, we might as well have been living in 2 different countries. I recently saw a video on YouTube where a guy, it was mostly a joke, but point stands that there was a challenge to stay 24 hours chained to your girlfriend, or spouse rather, and my first reaction was, why is that a challenge? If you find it so challenging to spend time with the person you're supposed to spend your life with, then why are you bothering with that person? And like I said, I get a lot of emails from people saying that they have a person with Asperger's who needs a lot of free space, and they're worried that that means that they don't love you. And I can tell you that's not what it means. What that means is that they simply haven't realized how important shared space is. I mean, sure, we have fights. We have misunderstandings because of Asperger's and because of other things. Everyone has fights. I knew a girl who used to complain so much about her boyfriend because her boyfriend and her had fights all the time, as if that mattered. I feel like if a fight can break you up, then what can't break you up? You're supposed to be together forever. You're supposed to be unbreakable. And that's something worth fighting for. I've always said that being in a relationship is about sacrifice. Not saying that you have to be in, pain about it. Because it's supposed to be about giving up things, not about having stuff taken away from you. I gave up a lot of things when she moved to Sweden. I gave up my free space, the ability to lock my own door. I'm not saying she was, gonna break into my room, because that's the point. We locked the door together at this point. But I gave it up for her. And at first, I was worried about that whole thing because I was thinking about my own problems and the fact that I need my space and all that stuff. But I've come to realize that Aspies are a bit self-centered. Not because we're selfish, but because we think about what we know, and the first thing you know is yourself. You don't really think about other people first, because you're not Jesus, right? She gave up a lot of stuff herself. To say that I gave up stuff and she didn't would be completely straight up wrong. She gave up her family, her friends. She moved to a country she still doesn't speak Swedish because, she started Swedish for immigrants, but we had to move a second time and was changed from a different commune, and that the time schedule got all messed up. I wouldn't survive in a country without knowing that language for long. The fact that she does that without even complaining is proof that she loves me, if you ask me. Point is that if you are in a relationship and you're complaining about stuff like, oh, he doesn't say that he loves me enough, then you shouldn't really be focusing on that part. You should be focusing on what he does to show that he loves you. Help him out, because I'm pretty sure he will help you out when you need it. And if he doesn't, why is he even worth keeping to begin with? I feel like Aspies might be a bit self-centered, and that's gonna definitely cause problems in relationships. But once you understand yourself a bit better, I'm sure that you will be able to succeed, because love conquers all and all that stuff. And that is the basic reason for why I make these videos. I want to make people understand Asperger's, and I want to make Asperger's people understand themselves. Okay, so yeah, I hope this video helped you ease your worries. I don't really know how much easing of worries this video had made, but if me and Katarina can make it, I'm pretty sure you can too. If you want my girlfriend to make a video talking about her point of view with how it is to live with a person with Asperger's, then comment on this video and, press the thumbs up thing, and I will make her make a video and talk about it. Because I'm genuinely not sure how she feels about living with an Aspie, because I myself can't look at myself through the eyes of a non-Aspie. And you might be interested too, so, tell me if you want to know that. And bye and stuff. And things.